Today we'll be doing the Alpine Stitch with increases and decreases. The Alpine Stitch has been gaining a lot of popularity lately, and there are a lot of other different versions out there. But today I want to show you a version that is easy to understand and conveniently adaptable for any project. Let me show you what I mean. Let's first start off by working any odd number of chains. It should always be an odd number. I'll be working 11 chains. Chain 1 to start the next row. Now on the second chain from your hook, you can choose to either work a half double crochet or a double crochet stitch. For this tutorial, I'll be making a half double crochet stitch. So we'll work half double crochet stitch on each of the chains all the way across. I'm working the last stitch of this row. And this is your first row. And just to be sure, you might want to count your stitch to make sure that you still have the same odd number. Now we'll chain 1 to turn our work and start the next row. On the next row, we'll work single crochet stitches. This will be considered our first row repeat. So go ahead and just work regular single crochet stitches on each stitch all the way across. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now for this row, we'll start off with 1 half double crochet on that first stitch. We'll always start the first stitch with a half double crochet. So go ahead and make that half double crochet stitch. Now on the second stitch, we'll go down to the post stitch and work a front post double crochet stitch. So you'll insert your hook behind and through the post and complete that double crochet stitch. So this is our second stitch. Now our third stitch will be a half double crochet stitch. And if you're not very sure where the third stitch is, just fold the front post forward and find that third stitch. Now go ahead and work that half double crochet stitch. Our next stitch will be a front post double crochet stitch again, followed by a half double crochet. So now let's go ahead and look for that next post stitch. Insert your hook behind and through that post and complete a double crochet stitch. The next stitch will be a regular half double crochet stitch. Go ahead and complete a half double crochet stitch. So basically all we're doing is repeating the front post double crochet stitch followed by a regular half double crochet stitch all the way across until we reach the end of the row. On your last 2 stitches, here I have my half double crochet stitch. So my next stitch will be a front post double crochet stitch, and my last stitch should always be a half double crochet stitch. So this completes the second row repeat of our pattern. Chain 1 to start your next row. On the next row, we'll repeat single crochet stitches on this row as our third row repeat. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now for our last row repeat, we're basically gonna repeat the same stitches as we did on the second row repeat, but in reversed order. The first stitch should, however, always be 1 half double crochet, and our next stitch here at the bottom is a front post, so we'll have to work the opposite of that, which is a half double crochet stitch. So that will make 2 half double crochet stitches on the first and second stitch. Now our third stitch is a half double crochet, so go ahead and work a front post double crochet stitch along that post. And because we're alternating the stitches, we'll continue working the half double crochet stitch and the front post double crochet stitch all the way across, and I'll meet you back here once we're at the end of this row. On my last 2 stitches, As you can see, my second last stitch is a front post, so I'll work a half double crochet stitch, and my last stitch will always be a half double crochet stitch. Chain 1, and this is our 4-row repeat of the Alpine Stitch. Now let me show you how to do an increase row. So after working your single crochet row, the next row would be an increase row. So now work 2 half double crochet increases on that first stitch. Now on your next stitch, go ahead and refer back to the previous row. Here I have a regular half double crochet. So I'm gonna go and work the opposite of this stitch. So I'm gonna work a front post double crochet stitch on that second stitch, followed by a half double crochet stitch, and we'll repeat these stitches all the way across. On the last 2 stitches, I'll complete a front post double crochet on the second last stitch and 2 half double crochet stitches to increase. By adding 2 half double crochet stitches on the first and last stitch, this will give it a nice increase on each side. For this increase row, it only has a 2-row repeat. So go ahead and continue to single crochet across the next row, followed by the same increase we did earlier. Let me show you once more. We'll work 2 half double crochet on that first stitch. Now on that second stitch, it is our previous 2 half double crochet, which is a half double crochet stitch. So we'll work a front post double crochet on the second stitch. The next stitch is a front post, so we'll go ahead and work a half double crochet on that stitch and continue working these 2 stitch repeat all the way across. Now let's do decreases. After completing the single crochet row, on the next row we'll be reducing the first and second stitch by working a half double crochet 2 stitches together. And since our bottom 2 stitches was a half double crochet, and our third stitch is a front post, which means our next stitch should be a half double crochet stitch. The third stitch is a half double crochet, so go ahead and work that front post stitch. And then we'll repeat the same stitches across, and I'll meet you back here at the end of this row. On my last 2 stitches, I'll be reducing these 2 stitches by working half double crochet 2 together. And since this is a second row repeat, I'll show you how to do the 4th row repeat by first working another set of single crochet stitches on the next row. I've just completed my single crochet row. Now let's go ahead and work on the 4th row. If you look at the bottom stitch here, this is a reduced stitch. 2 stitch has become 1. So let's work the half double crochet 2 together stitch. Our second stitch is a half double crochet stitch, and the third stitch is a front post double crochet stitch, which means we'll work the opposite of that stitch. We'll work a half double crochet stitch on that second stitch, followed by a front post double crochet stitch, working our way down until the second last stitch. On the last 2 stitches, go ahead and reduce those 2 stitches by working a half double crochet 2 together. And that's pretty much there is. All you gotta remember is to refer to the stitch on the previous row, but always remember that your first and last stitch should always be a half double crochet stitch. If you found this tutorial helpful, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more video tutorials like this. See you soon. Bye!